When and where the first labyrinth was formed is open to speculation, as it was before recorded history, perhaps as much as 10,000 years ago. The oldest datable labyrinths are between 3 and 5,000 years old. The seven-circuit classical labyrinth is not only the oldest design, but also the best known and widest spread geographically. Labyrinths have been depicted on the floors of Christian churches since late antiquity. The labyrinth pattern is an archetypal form found all over the world. It dates back thousands of years and is found in some form in almost every culture. The labyrinth is one of the oldest contemplative and transformational tools known to humankind. It consists of a single meandering pathway which leads from entrance to center and back out again. The labyrinth just naturally causes your attention to start turning inward, focusing in the present moment. Walking the labyrinth, it is much easier to hear the intuitive messages. It is those intuitive messages that lead to our outward creativity. During a labyrinth walk, the left and right hemispheres of the brain are balanced, leading to the perfect state for accessing intuition and creativity. When the labyrinth is combined with other traditional methods for accessing creativity, such as creative visualization, journalizing and affirmations, music and dance, even greater results come from the walks. Our bodies synthesize what our intellect can only distinguish. The labyrinth does not engage our thinking mind. It invites our intuition, pattern-seeking, symbolic mind to come forth. It is an excellent tool for contemporary art students to explore their own creative process. The Labyrinth Project was a collaboration between fine art students at Ringling School of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, and visiting artist Mary Lynn Jamison. The students worked with Ms. Jamison to install two labyrinths on campus, a 7 and an 11 circuit. The labyrinths remained on the campus during the fall semester 2002 for the entire Ringling community to use.
Each of the labyrinths seem to create a little bit different mindset. The Chartres is a very introspective walk. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes to walk to the center. You can stay in the center as long as you want, and then it takes 7 or 8 minutes to walk back out. The classical labyrinth it's a little bit shorter walk, and it seems to kind of have a little more extroverted mindset that comes from it. So it's interesting to walk them both and see what comes up for you and how you feel about them.
Because walking a labyrinth is historically tied to the creative process, involving the notion of balancing left and right brain thinking, a practice fundamental to the art-making process, the Labyrinth Project was conceived as an integral component to a pilot interdisciplinary course. This course was team-taught by Roxy Thomas and Allison Watkins. The objective of this conceptual drawing class was to merge information normally presented in a liberal arts course with studio activities. To complete the Labyrinth Project experience, students completed drawings in which they visually interpreted both their idea of a labyrinth and their experience with walking the labyrinth they had constructed.
For my creative process, I normally come up with some type of question, whatever the problem is or whatever I'm trying to portray in whatever kind of work I'm doing. That's the question, and the answer is normally some kind of material that I find. I like to walk through Walgreens or Walmart to try to find something that answers my question in the simplest of forms. I asked myself, what is a labyrinth? What do we do in a labyrinth? What is it used for? The talcum powder, it was a foot powder, which is the basis for putting on your feet, primarily for eliminating odor or absorbing moisture. Because we walk through labyrinths, there was a sarcastic reference to how the mark making would be, being that the foot powder was spread on the floor, and then when you walked over, it actually made a labyrinth or a trench-like that somebody else could walk over. I thought the labyrinth, walking through it, was basically like walking anywhere. I don't think that I felt anything different being in the labyrinth than I would walking down the street. But because I referenced the labyrinth as my thoughts being the same thoughts I had every day, I basically was able just to break down the labyrinth as a fundamental piece or a design.
My creative process, I think, varies from project to project or whatever I'm working on, depending on the content and the guidelines that I'm given. But usually if it's open-ended, I'll do some sort of research, get other artists' opinions from their work or whatnot. And a lot of times that inspires me to go on and make something of my own. Personally, my opinion of the labyrinth is I didn't feel anything. I had no balance, personally. I walked it and I was anxious to get through with it, and I was more frustrated with how long it took than anything else. I didn't feel any sort of balance or creative juices flowing or anything like that. So my idea was that it was false. It almost looks like rats in a maze that are they're just, because they're told, because they're sent to. That's sort of what we all were doing when we're doing a labyrinth. We're just kind of, okay, yeah, I'll feel this when I'm done. But in the collage, I just felt that those images like fully explained how I felt about it, helped out with relaying my message over.
I referenced my experience in the labyrinth, and then I tried to relate how labyrinths are seen in society today, and how, because obviously they've become an icon from, I don't know, Greek, Roman, mythological times. And I tried to see how that flowed through our lives today, and if it was more of a cerebral thing or a physical thing. And then I just thought about how I felt when I walked through it. I'm more related to the ideas behind it and how I felt about the ideas and how I felt about a spiritual journey and about how like just like more the cerebral part of the experience rather than the actual physical experience. It's more of a conceptual-based drawing. I use tape, white and gray tape, to create kind of a pattern that's similar to the mosaic tiling it kind of references that of like Greek and Roman times, that when they made the labyrinths on the floors with mosaics.
My creative process comes from what I feel towards the project and the idea. So if whatever I feel strong about is what I'll take put the elements into my piece. So certain areas will be stronger, but it's basically my thoughts and what I feel towards the project and the idea and the concept. In the Labyrinth Project, I felt most strong about my connection with the piece and myself. When we were walking through it, I felt more connected. My mind was cleared. I had a really strong sense of being inside the labyrinth. So I chose to take that further in my piece, just my connection with the piece. But I had such a strong sense of not thinking of anything when I was inside the labyrinth, even while I was turning. So it did. At first, I was very conscious of the lines. I was like, okay, I'm in here, and then I was trying to find a little pattern of where I was walking, but eventually it just went away, and I was just going through until I reached the center. Well, the center of my piece consisted of straight lines, and I think that was more because I felt really strong. I knew what I was, so I used like squares and rectangles to build structure in my piece, and then I chose two colors. Like I chose the warm and the cool on two different sides of my pieces, and that represents the outside to the inside. Like I said, I felt really connected and warm inside, so I used the warm colors on one side, and then the outside of the labyrinth was cool. I didn't want to be there, so I made those the blues and the purples. Yeah, I think that we have a very big connection with our minds and our artwork. Just as the artwork that we're creating now has come from the labyrinth, I think everything around us affects the way our art comes.
The Labyrinth, a walk through the night to an intricate design which lies hidden under the shadows. Lines flicker in the grass. Knotty lines twist around each other, so complex, yet only one path to follow. Walk to find an answer. Walk to find something lost. Walk to find myself. Look to the center to find meaning. Love may lay there. Sometimes the path is easy, sometimes easily seen, at others shrouded in shadow. Slow the pace and concentrate. The path that must be followed is like the gold the mind sees. Turn around and back again. Do not skip a line or the center will never be reached. One day the center will be at hand, will arise from out of nowhere as though a direct and simple path. Hold the center near. Hold fast to the journey, the comfortable lines, the awkward curves. Take the journey back again, back along the twists and turns, back to the varied paces. With the center close at heart, the journey seems not so long. The labyrinth has many layers of meaning, and walking it is a profound experience, unique to each of us. It can be used to quiet the mind or to connect with our inner creative voice. Walking the labyrinth is a metaphoric path to unity with the center. The experience of the walk will be different each time and for each individual. Each person brings their own intention to the journey. The path is ready when they are.